welcome to Venturelicity by Senchigami, here every week for your wrap-up of all news in Valorant. This week, we're going to be basically just talking about Masters Reykjavik because it was kind of a big deal. So guys, gals, and other pals, we have a lot of news in between the actual games and Riot streams, so let's get started. Point one, coming out of Masters Reykjavik, is that there wasn't much upset region-wise. Most people predicted that the US and EU teams would actually dominate the first international event for Valorant, and they definitely did. People kind of saw this coming, us included, and a lot of the best Valorant players are from this first year, from CSGO, and are CSGO veterans. And some did come from Overwatch, but Counter-Strike was the game that donated the most to our scene. In CSGO West, NA and EU were pretty dominant, so it makes sense that something similar would play out in Valorant. We have two really standout players from the first event, which is saying something, because everyone at this level of play is absolutely insane. The first player I do want to talk about is Fnatic's Magnum, who played really aggressively, but came out with a positive KDA. Valorant is far from a game defined by KDA, but Magnum was a constant high-pressure threat against Sentinels as long as he was alive. He had a 29% headshot ratio. And honestly, if you want to see him at his best, watch any map where he can get a sheriff in his hands and watch him just pop off. He gets some really heroic kills that he shouldn't have been able to against the world's best, but he was definitely the best player on Fnatic. Speaking of heroic, this episode of Venturelicity is always brought to you by the wonderful team at Senchigami. Senchigami is about going after your dreams and helping people just do that. Their awesome designs are made by collaborating with independent artists. Their partners are also independent, ambitious streamers, like myself, writers, artists, and more. And if you need something comfy when you're trying to clutch your next map, check out the new Emergence line from Senchigami with more designs coming soon. Now let's talk about undoubtedly the best player planting the spike during the Masters. We need to talk about Sentinels 10s. Yes, 10s, the player who is on loan from Cloud9 Blue to replace Sinatra because of the stuff we talked about in episode 1, link in the description. 10s is the retired CS pro who stepped down from the pro scene back in January to pursue content creation, only to come back on loan to Sentinels from C9 Blue. The retired player is on loan is the top player in Masters Reykjavik and put up a plus 17 KD in the grand finals and did 50 more damage per round than anyone else. Was this scripted? Because there was some absolute movie magic happening. If 10s had just said, like, I'm getting too old for this once, I would have thought Valorant games were definitely more of a movie instead of a live event. But maybe we're getting a little too far. Don't want too many stories like this in esports, let alone the first land of an event of an esport. So we're just lucky that Valorant is already turning out to be such an incredible game esports-wise. And Sentinels, you're about to get a call from C9 Jack telling you that the price just went up. Honestly, those clips do not even touch the tension in this week's games. Even knowing the end result, it's really worth watching if you want to see the best go at it. We just have a couple standout moments there, but the number of headshots and 5-head plays that were dished out in this series were insane. When it comes down to it though, Sentinels did put up a better numbers game than Fnatic did. They picked up about 30 extra kills throughout the games with slightly better execution, and use those numbers as an advantage to steal critical rounds away, especially when their eco was far worse than Fnatic and they had no right winning. But seriously, watch the series if you enjoy competitive Valorant. It's probably the most exciting games we're going to get until next Masters in September. Biggest stories coming out of this week is that the first LAN event for Valorant was a huge success. People memed on Valorant for a while, calling it a dead game and all that, but we got numbers, and the first LAN event in Valorant history had over 1 million viewers. The first one. This game came out during a pandemic. They had to delay their esports scene. Everything was kind of stacked up against them. And somehow, someway, Valorant has just proved it has serious legs, which means we're going to have way more events coming our way with no risk of Riot cutting down on anything. This makes sense as Valorant is an incredible game to watch and Riot knows esports. What's really going to be awesome though in the next coming months is seeing how much power and money Riot puts behind Valorant now that everyone can see each other in person again. And yeah, that was a lot. Masters was a big week and there can't be anything else, right? Well, we'll talk about that more next week. Thanks for checking out Venturelicity. I am Veluxe, and remember Venturelicity and all the awesome content on the Senchigami channel are brought to you by Senchigami. So come check out our Discord server. We are in desperate need of someone to help with our writer, Jackson, to get better at Valorant. I can't help him. And Venturelicity will be back next week. See you guys. In the end, 4 of 5 teams in the event, what? Doesn't make sense.